This is where we left in the last video. We built this forget password functionality and we have generated the token which we're going to send back to the user in the email so they can click and they can log in. So let's create the email functionality first. So this is the validation. Let me show you this validation because most of you guys have asked me in the last video that what this validation is doing. So if I remove this validation, because this will save the data. So if I remove that and if I come back to the Postman, you can see here we are in the forget password. And if I make a request, it will give me this error message, user validation fail, because it needs the password and password confirmations. Because when we want to generate the token for the forget password, the user would be already logged in. Hope this makes sense to all of you guys. Now let's bring this back validators. It's called validate before save. Stop the validation. So that looks good to me. And let's come back here in the utils and we're going to create another file. In that we're going to build the functionality for the email sending. So let's click on this and we'll call it email.js. And here we're going to build all the functionality for sending the email. So we're going to use a package which is going to do that for us. So let's install the package, split the terminal, and this package calls node mailer. So node mailer, M-A-I-L-E-R, mailer. Install this package. Here we have installed the package, clear your terminal, and now we're going to utilize that. So if you come back into the package.json file, here you will find that this is the node mailer we have. So let's close this one and bring the terminal down, and now we can start using that. So let's import that node required, and we have this node mailer package, node mailer. Let's come down. We have to take a variable called send email. So this is the function we're going to create, and we're going to call this function in our forget password in the auth control. So in that we're going to pass an option. This we have to pass the couple of options, the message, the email. So those are things we're going to assign to this. So let's create this function. So the very first thing is, so we're going to build this send email functionality in 3 steps. So let's write down the first one. We'll create a transporter. In the second option, we're going to simply define the email, that what are the data we want to send based on the options. And in the third step, we're going to simply activate and send the email. So these are the 3 steps we're going to follow. So let's start with the first one. We'll take a variable, we'll say transporter, and here we're going to call this node mailer, and in that we have this function called create transporter. In that we're going to pass an object. So we have to define the email provider we are using. So here we have to define the provider, the service you are using to send the email. So for the timing, let's go with the Gmail, but I'm not going to use Gmail for sending the email because Gmail will allow you to send only 500 emails in a day, and if you exceed that, your account will be marked as an spam. So there is a lot of email provider services which you can include, but as we are in the development, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a mail trap provider. So what it does, whatever email you will send from the system, that email is going to be trapped in that mail trap. And from there we can easily check all the variables which is looking fine or not. Okay, so we're going to use that mail trap service, and in the production we're going to add the actual provider. You can go with a Snapdeal or any other provider who allow you to send emails. So this is the Gmail service, and here we have to define the authentication. So here you have to define the like the user and the password. So let's come here, and here we'll say user, and I'm going to store this variable into my .env file. So let me do this, then I will create that variable. So I'll say email, capital email, and I'll say username. So this is the name, and here I have to define the password, process.env email dash passwords, and these are the 2 variables we have to create in our .env file. So let's copy that and come here in .env file, and here we have to define that. All the sensitive data you should define in .env file because you don't want to share with anyone else. Here you have to put your own ID, which I will tell you from where you will get. Copy this one, password, come back, and here you have to put your own password. And now let's use the mail trap service which allow us to test this email. So let's open up your browser and simply type mail trap, M-A-I-L-T-R-A-P trap. This is the very first link. Click on this, and if you click on that, here you can see one platform to test, send, control your email. So no matter what email address you provide to send the email, all the email will going to trap into this mail trap, and we can easily able to see So this one is the perfect for development purpose because you have to check the system is working or not. So that looks pretty fine. Here we have, you can see, you can read everything about this, but so make sure to create your accounts. So once you create your account, you have to log in, and once you log in, you will find a similar dashboard like this. You can click on this add inbox, and from here you have to create the project name. So I'll call it NFT marketplace. So here we have initialized our project NFT marketplace. Now you can simply click on this, and here you will find your SMT setting. There is a lot of configuration you can do. If you want to use their email provider service, you can do that. And here we have all the data which we need. So click on this show credential, and in that you will have all this data. So you will have this host, port, username, password, auth, all these things we have. Simply grab that one, all of these. So grab this username, come back in .env file, and don't use my, because I have seen that most of you guys use the same code which I provide, and you don't do the changes in the password or in the server, and because of that you get encounter, or sometime there is so much load in my server and I was not able to access even to my own application. So don't use that. I just showing you all the credential. It doesn't mean that you should use the exact one. Use your own one, it's free. And here we have to paste that. So it's a, let's say, grab this password. Okay, here we have to change the password, and here we have to paste the username. So this is the user and password, and here we have to take one more variable, email host. So the host name is this, copy that one and paste here, and we have to take the port as well. So port, port, and the port we're going to use is 25. So grab that one and paste here. So these are the 3 email provider services we have, and now we can utilize that one. So here we have already initialized that username and password, so we don't need to do any changes here. And here we're not going to use the Gmail, because I believe that most of you are interested to use Gmail for sending the emails, but here we're going to use the Mailtrap for as a provider. So here we're going to do the change process.env, and we have our provider data. So it's in the, let's say, what we have called email host. So this is our provider, and now we have to take the port, and that we have inside this port. So these are the important data we have. Hope this entire thing makes sense to all of you. That looks good. Come down, and here we have to finally define the mail options, the data we want to send, because in the options usually provide the email, messages, all those things. So let's build the mail option. So in that we will take the form. So from which account, from which email ID we want to send this mail. So here obviously you're going to define your hello.com, and here you have to define the email where you want to send, and this data will come in the form of options. So these are the data we have to pass. So this is the data we'll receive here, and that's what we're going to simply pass here. Let's define the subject, and we have the subject in the options. Now we have to define the text, or we have this in the message. And you can also send the HTML. So right now we are sending text, but you can send HTML as well, but for the time being I will go with the text. So this looks fine. So these are the mail options we have. Now we have to send this email. So for sending that we have to say await transporter, and we have to call this send mail function, and in that we have to pass the mail option. So these are the data we have to pass, and here we have to convert this function into a async function, and that looks fine. These are the only things we have to do, and here we're going to make it export module.export, and we have to export the function send email. Hope this entire thing makes sense. So these are the configuration you have to do. So this option will contain all the information about the user to whom we want to send the mail, and these are the mails options, these are the provider, and that looks fine to me. So now we can utilize this. So where we can utilize, come back to the auth controller, and we want to utilize here, because here we have built all this functionality. First thing we have to import it. So let's come here. It's coming from utils called email.js, email, and change this to send email. Copy that one and come here, and here we have to simply build the functionality, because here we are sending the email. So here we're going to say const reset URL. First we have to build the URL. In the email we're going to send the URL, so your user can click on that URL, it will open in the browser, and he can put his password. So let's construct that. So let's take this template literal, and if you come here, I'm going to simply grab this. So grab this entire URL and come here, open a new tab and paste here, and here we're going to call this reset password. Okay, so make sure to do these changes. Come back to the come back to the router, and we have to create the router. For this we have already created that router, and that's what we're going to simply paste. So make sure I type the raw spelling. Okay, this is the right spelling. And this reset password will take the token ID which we're going to send in the email. So this is the, just go with a random data, and we're going to call this method, we're going to call this patch, because we are updating the password. So this is how we're going to construct the URL, and this is the URL we're going to send in our email. So let's save this one. We'll say reset password and save into the folder to do any changes, and this looks fine. Now come here back, and this will say we'll call the patch method, save it, and here we're going to take this token, because ultimately we are receiving the token in this URL. So that's what we have to do here. This looks fine. Come back to the auth controller, and now we have to construct the URL. So we'll take this dynamic block and we'll say rec.protocol, and this rec.protocol will work for all the environment, whether we are in development or whether we are in productions, whether you are using a localhost or whether you are using any particular location or your own domain name. This will fix the HTTP protocol, whether it's HTTP or HTTP not. So that's one. Here we are, and here we have to define the rec.get, and then we have to define the host. So what is the host? If I host this entire application on nftmarketplace.com, so that's going to be the host. So this one is dynamic. So host, and here we have to pass the API. So API/v1 users, in that we have all the data about the user, and in that we're going to simply take this reset password, and here we're going to pass the reset token. So this is the token we're going to send to the user. Hope this entire thing makes sense to all of you guys. This is a dynamic URL. No matter you are in production or you are in development, it will work fine in both the environment. So that looks good. So come here and let's create a message, because the message we want to send in this email, that's what we have to define here. So here I would take this template tool. I will say forget your password, submit a patch request with your new password and confirm password to this URL. This is the URL we're going to pass it, and we will take a new line and we'll say if didn't forget your password, please ignore this message. That's the simple email. So that's the simple message we have built for sending in the email. So we are sending the URL which we have constructed right on the top. So looks fine to me. Let's come here. Here we have to say wait send email. So this is the function we are importing from the email.js, and here we have to simply send the data. So we have to define the email in which we want to send the email. So for the time being, I will take this user.email, because, or you can simply type this rec.body.email, the email which user is providing. You can get it from here, or you have all the data right in the user, so you can get it from there as well. So we have this user.email is the email, and we have to send the subject your password reset token valid for 10 minutes, because we will allow them to reset their password within 10 minutes. After that, the token we have generated will get expired, and here we have to send the message. So these are the data we are passing, and now we have to send the response. So once someone will submit that, we have to send the response back. We can't leave it like it is. So let's say status is going to be 200 JSON, and that we have to send this object. So status success. This is the same thing we are doing for so many times, and here we have to display the message token sent to email. Looks fine to me. So these are the functionality we have built. So it looks good, no more problem we have here. So this is the function we have, and things looks good. Here we have the reset URL. This is the protocol, get, host, and the API and the token. This is the message. This is the send email, and with the response. Now we have to wrap this entire function into a try and catch, because if anything goes wrong while sending the email, we have to catch that. So let's create here. We'll say try and catch, and we're going to simply cut this entire one, and we're going to put inside this try block. And if everything goes wrong, so the very first thing we have to do is the token we have created, we have to simply set to undefined. So let's do that. So this looks good here. Let's open it. Password reset token, and we have to set this to undefined. Reset token to undefined, and we're going to replicate that, and this will become the expired. So we have to set this undefined, both the token, reset token and the expire. So this will not get stored into the database when someone try to change the password. So that looks good. Why I'm getting this bracket. So let's try to remove it. Okay. So that looks fine here. Now we have to simply get this validation, because we don't want to run the validation, otherwise it will throw the error. Remove this one bracket and put this and paste this. Now it looks fine. So we don't want to run the validation. We don't want to validate. Let's come here, and here we're going to simply return this error message. So we have this error class we have created, in that we're going to send this error. There was an error sending the email, and we have this message along with 500 internal server error, and somehow the app got crashed. Okay, let's see. Bring the terminal up, and here it says that next. Okay, it's not next, it's going to be new. So save it, and now our application is back online. Looks fine to me. And now you can come here, and if we come back to the forget password, so let's take this one, copy, come back here and simply paste here and make a request. And here we got this error message. There was an error sending the email. So the error message we have defined, we got that, but why it's coming this? So the error is happening in our function. What we can do, come here, this looks fine to me, the error is coming from here. So there is a problem in our send email, and you can see this is the token, a encrypted token and unencrypted token. So both are looking fine to me. Come back to this email, and here we have to change this to host and save it. Bring the terminal up, and here you can see we have to restart the browser, because whenever you create any environment variable in .env files, you have to restart the application, otherwise those variable will not get read. Okay, so let's stop and restart the application. We'll type npm start in our development mode. So here our application is running, we are in development mode. You can see that looks fine to me. Come back here and let's try to make a request. So it's taking a bit time, that means things are working fine. So it's taking too much time, ultimately because we are using third-party service to send the email, so it's taking a bit time. So just wait. And here we got an error back. There was an error sending the email. Okay, we are getting still the same error, and actually I was stuck for a while to find out that what's the problem we are having. All the codes we have written is absolutely fine, but the problem right now we are having with the mail trap. Our code is fine, so let me show you how you can fix that. So we need to have a new service provider. So this time we're going to use this ethereal.email. This is the service provider we're going to use. Come to this website and create your accounts. When you create your account, you will have a similar interface like this. Here you will find all the credentials, so name, username and password, but we need this one. You can see node mailer configuration. If you want to build a PHP mailer, you can simply use this configuration. If you're using Swift, SMT, so they have all the thing, but the one we need is this transportator node mailer. Simply grab that one, come back in the email provider, and right now I haven't done any changes in our email.js. All I have to do is simply open this one and comment this entire transportator, and we're going to use this one. So right now I'm showing this password again. I'm telling you don't use this. So these are my transporter. So looks fine to me. Now it will work fine. So if you send a request, it will take a little bit time, and finally it send the mail. So token send email, so it has sent the email. So come here, come back to the same application, the Ethereal mail, and you click on this message. If you click on this, here you will find the messages which you have sent. So I have already tested previously, so that's why you can see, but this is the new one we have. Click on this, and we have sent it right now in 11:30, and the same time I have right now in my computer. So click on this, and here you can see, here this is the message we have defined: forget password, submit a patch request with your new password and confirm password. And this is the URL we have built. You can see this is the entire URL we have built, and this automatically got fetched. So we have used this protocol, so that's the URL, host, and everything's look fine. And here we have this token. So if you copy that token, and if you come here, and right now you can see this is the token, unencrypted token we are sending, which is E4, and the same thing we have sent in the email. Here you can see, and this scripted one we have saved in our database, this one 2E. So if you come here, refresh, and here you can see, here we have this 2C2. So that's how it will work. Looks fine to me. Now we can is able to send the mails and get into our trap. So that looks fine, no problems. We have make sure to do these changes. Come here, close this one, close this one. Here we are in auth controller, and that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. Hope you guys have learned that how you can send emails and how you can trap that email. If you really want to make it production level, obviously we're going to do that. In that scenario, all you have to do is to use an actual provider like a Gmail or any third party provider like Bluehost or HostGator. So there is a lot of things. With that, let's move to the next video.